Hello, and welcome to the Actual Magician's Bookshelf, where we're going to be doing some live tarot readings today, and I'm hoping to demonstrate a novel method that's good for parties as well. So I'm just going to wait until some people find the stream. I had to just reset it because I was streaming live earlier on and still had previous camera settings, so I'm just waiting for this stream to catch up and for people to move away from the other stream. So welcome if you found this stream. I'm hoping that the camera is going to keep working on here. It's actually working correctly, but doesn't seem to be sending it to the... Oh, there we go. Right, there's something very strange going on at the moment. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Right. Okay, I'm hoping that that is now working. For some reason, the settings I had earlier for the vertical streaming were overriding the settings for the horizontal streaming for today. It's the first time I've tested the vertical streaming, if you were there earlier on. So I hope that that is now a horizontal view of the table. It looks okay. Hello, Sherry. Welcome this evening. And I'm hoping that hasn't... it's not full screen this end. It should catch up, I hope. It may... I hope it's still not showing... It's showing my preview the normal, regular sort of ratio. Small screen. Yeah, I think what it's doing is, for some reason, it's taking the vertical screen from earlier on, from an actual screenshot, so it's like live streaming my screen. Just bear with me 1 moment as I take a look at this. So what do we have? We have the OBS. Oh, I see. This vertical should not be streaming at all. I'm going to have to get rid of this app, I think. No, it's not necessarily the best way of doing things. Just give me a second. You might see a load of gibberish on your screen for a moment. I do apologise. It is very, very strange. Yeah, okay, well that seems to be right. Okay, hello. How's that showing now? Is it horizontal? Problem is my screen is a little bit delayed from what's actually streaming out live, so I'm hoping that that's okay. Hello, Tony. Welcome. Hello, Catherine and Birds and Bill. Welcome, welcome. We'll get this working one way or another. Just bear with me. Okay, so that is bonkers. What I might have to do is take off the software, the plugin from earlier on today. That is weird because it should be totally switched off, and it seems to be just deciding that it's going to work no matter what. I wonder if it's the video capture device. Yeah, that's very strange. Okay, just give me 1 moment. Oh, it looks good now. All right, okay. Good. Right, so brilliant. Okay, excellent. So you should be able to see these 3 piles of cards that I've laid out. I thought today, rather than we looked at the Lenormand last time, for the last couple of weeks, I guess, so I thought we'd come back to tarot and I'd share with you a method of the oracular sentences. Okay, so K Melody, yeah, let's take a look at manifestation. Now, I have perhaps some particular views about manifestation that may not be similar to those who teach or practice manifestation, etc. But in occultism, in the Western esoteric and history system, we have a slightly different view about things like the secret, about channeling, about manifestation, activation, whatever current word is used for that, positive thinking and so forth, in which we believe that, and experimentation does seem to demonstrate this, that your state of mind, in order to bring about a non-linear, non-effect, cause and effect driven consequence in your life, isn't to really visualize it as happening or prepare for it happening like the secret and stuff like that, but it's actually to enter into a state where we trick our awareness in order to want something more than anything else, to be fully willful of something, totally focused on it, with no doubt about any of the consequences, about any of the costs, about any of the sacrifices that we might need to make to accomplish this particular aim, and at the same time be completely non-attached to it, in a state of non-necessity, so that we don't even think about it at all. Whereas a lot of positive thought type teachings, we have to, you're taught to visualize something, do a mantra and so forth. The point is to be in a state where neither doubt nor surety come into it at all. In effect, as Shakespeare said, we cast the spell and then hush, the spell's wound up. We put it entirely out of our minds. And this is a very, very hard state to attain. And of course, that is why we're not all walking around doing magical work and instantly casting a spell and having a lot of money, or our ideal partner, our ideal house sort of turn up. So there really isn't a specific mantra or spell. So what we're going to do is we're going to do you a reading, and then I'll show you a little technique that you can use to actually activate that. So are you prepared to put yourself into situations where you might meet a specific person? Now, when you say, I want to manifest my specific person, have you got a specific person in mind? Because this is not the way that will work. Or do you mean you want to bring into your orbit somebody who would be good for you, positive for you in terms of a relationship? Right, so you have a specific person in mind, so that is not the way this will work. It is next to impossible to have a specific person in mind and cast some sort of spell or do a mantra or do a reading for one specific person, unless that specific person is already in orbit and has a course set in their lives for you. You can force it, but in effect what you're doing when you do is you are casting a curse. You are not casting a blessing or a spell or an evocation or manifesting a person to suddenly be attracted to you. What you are actually doing in technical magical terms from experience is you are cursing them. You are actually compelling and casting a curse. And that is a whole different subject. It is a whole different experience. It is a whole different type of risk and consequence and so forth. It can be done, but it is not to be done because it is just not worth the trouble. So, K-Melody, what I'd like to do is just do a reading for you, and then something interesting might happen. If you're open to this technique, if you're open to just testing it out for a week and see what happens, then I'm quite happy to do a reading for you and then give you a little suggestion as to what you might do. So are you open? Excellent. That's all we need, is an open state of inquiry. That is how magic works. I don't really need to know your name or anyone else's name for that matter, because magic is totally acausal. These cards are already in the universe with you, with me, with everyone watching, with YouTube and so forth. So a name doesn't necessarily give us any more specific power or insight, because we're already working in a non-causal, non-connected manner, if that makes sense. So, excellent. Right, now, what we've done and what I'm going to demonstrate and what we're all going to do together today is work on your question, your openness. I'm going to rephrase it slightly into something I would like to do a reading for you with, and I've split the deck into 3 piles. And this is, in Tarosophy, it's called a split deck method. So these are the major arcana, the 22 major arcana, the Fool in there and the World. And these are basically the hard-coded aspects of the universe. These are the way we have divided our universe into 22 fundamental points, fundamental strange attractors. This is the spiderweb connections, the intersections of the entire universe in a way that we can deal with it and handle it. If there were any more, it would be too much. If there were any less, it would not be enough. It just happens to be 22. Okay, so we have 22 cards there, of the major arcana, and those are the fundamental forces of the universe. And these are the things, these are reality, okay? And then these are the 40 minor arcana. Then we have the court cards down here as well. So these are the 40 numbered cards in the 4 suits, going 1 to 10, 9, 4, 10, 6, 2, and so forth. And these are the activity cards, okay? These are the actions, the activities, the things that happen, okay? And these arise out of these things. So when you're talking about manifesting, you're actually modeling or discussing, in effect, how these invisible forces tremble underneath and manifest these 40 forces. So these are the forces of manifestation. These are the symptoms, the arising things in life as we know it. And these reflect on these. So this is the deep level. This is the arising level. These are the cards of manifestation. Okay, for the minor arcana. These are the cards of manifestation. Okay. I'm just going to shuffle those a little bit more for your reading. Okay. There we go. I'm happy now. And then these 16 cards are the court cards. Okay. So these are the court cards. The kings, the queens, the pages, the knights in the 4 suits as well. Now, these are the levels of energy. So this is the pattern of everything. This is the behavior, the patterns, how things happen and arise, the activity of life. So this is the structure of life. This is the activity of life. And then these are the levels of energy. So these tell us what happened and what happens and what will happen and what has ever happened, and these tell us the manner in which that happens. These are the levels of energy. So this is how the tarot allows us to model what's right. Yeah, it's interesting with shuffling. I let them shuffle and I move my hands to follow the shuffle itself. That's the way I tend to do it. And sometimes I'll put them down and even pick them up again, and sometimes I'll sort of they'll feel like they're trying to do that, and then they sort of tell me, oh, okay, well, that is the way that needs to happen now. So I just allowed them to shuffle. I let the tarot shuffle, basically. Okay, then, K-Melody, what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you an oracular sentence. And we do that. This is a very good thing for those watching who want things to do at parties, that you can do this at a table. It's not a good standing up method because of the way you have to split the deck. You can't do it really at a bar unless you want to risk your tarot cards getting soaking wet with beer on the bar itself, covered in peanut brittle shells and stuff. I speak from experience. But if you've got a party and people have pestered you and you want to do a tarot card reading and you want it to be quite light, but nonetheless honour the cards themselves, I always say I'll do oracular sentences. And the game is, and I term it as a game, it's an oracular game, you have to take the oracular sentence. It may not mean anything to you, but if you're going to come to the oracle, then the oracle will speak in an oracular way. Okay, well, hopefully if I move my hand here, it should automatically start to focus down here. Okay, right. So, okay, K-Melody. Now, this is the way we did do the oracular thing. I'm going to explain it to everyone as I do it, because these are not just free readings, but it's sort of free teaching of the techniques that I'm using as well. So, what do you have to do? Right. I'll tell you in a moment once we've done the reading. So, we turn over the first card And we either just say the name of the card, and again, this is for people learning the method, or something that is on the card that just draws our attention. Okay, so to me, it's the charioteer. So the rider, okay, the rider. So the charioteer is someone who is riding a chariot. Okay, so the chariot. And we say the rider or the chariot. Okay, so I would say to someone, and in this case it's K Melody, imagine that you're on the other side of the table. I would say the rider, and then this card gives us an action or activity. An action or activity. The rider shares. Okay, so with this card, I'm particularly looking at the balance of the scales. It's the Six of Pentacles and the merchant giving these coins, or perhaps they're seeds. They're probably coins because he has a wallet somewhere. And he's sort of balancing it out between someone who maybe is worthy, someone who isn't. This is like the prodigal son and stories like that. So here, shares. Okay, so shares. So the rider shares. So we have an object, a noun, a verb here, a doing word. What is this card doing? The guy is sharing. Okay, we could have said giving perhaps, but I get the sense of sharing. This is where the art of it comes in, to choose your words. Your intuition may tell you whatever you just recently read about a card might tell you, might inform you as to the word. So the rider shares. The rider shares, and we want to know how they share. Okay, so this is the noun. For those with interest in English grammar, this is the noun, this is the verb. So shares or is sharing. And then we have an adverb. This describes the way this activity is being done by this. So this is the descriptor, this is what is happening, and that's the way in which it's happening, and this is the thing that is doing it. Okay, so the rider shares passionately. Passionately. The Knight of Cups to me is someone with a passion. Okay, so this is the level of energy, and in this case, the level of energy is with passion. They've got the cup, they have their quest, they have their values, and they are passionate about it. So the rider shares their values. The rider shares passionately. Make sense? In terms of the way I've put that structure. The reading is about you, and it means that the rider is you, okay, if that's the way we want to read it. So I'm going to do this in two parts and then give you the method by which you can act on this. Make sense? So the rider shares passionately. The rider shares passionately. Or it could be the rider shares their passions. And so your homework, K Melody, for a week is to be the rider who shares your passions. Okay, we can just leave someone and say, now go away, the oracle has spoken, it's the next person's turn to get their oracle. Okay, the rider shares passionately is the answer. The cards are mysterious, this is what they've said, and quite often it then sits with that person for quite a while, and one day they say, oh, it suddenly made sense. Or they change their behavior and something happens. But in your case, because we want to make this very active for you, very dynamic, so that the agency is not you trying to manifest someone else, but you trying to manifest yourself. Okay? So you are going to ride into the next week by sharing your passion with other people. Okay? So opening out your passion, a bit like I'm doing now with the tarot, I'm sharing passionately my passion, my interests with other people. Okay? Now, what we then do is put these cards here. So this is a sort of intermediate method of the same method. You can just do it like that and say the rider shares passionately. Now this is the oracle. Now leave me be. But we can also now add a second sentence, a second oracular sentence. And when you're doing this and not explaining it, of course, you can do it in a matter of moments. Once you've laid out the cards into your 3 piles, it just takes a second to do this. And also it helps teach you and give you experience with reading these cards as patterns, structures, nouns, these cards as verbs, actions, activities, behavior in the real world, and these cards as levels of energy, the way in which we manifest as people, all of these separate sides again. I'm shuffling again because this is a but. Okay, so this is in effect a separate but secondary part of the same oracular moment. I guess if I'd have felt that I didn't need shuffle, I wouldn't have shuffled, but I tend to just shuffle. And if I wasn't shuffling them, I'd probably just turn them up to see what the bottom card was. Yeah, that's right. Yes. And that's a good way of seeing it, K Melody, is actually now reading these cards, reading about them and looking at them to explore the nature of the oracle. In effect, you are now divining and interpreting from the oracle that you have been given. Okay? Because an oracle is not necessarily a divination. Well, it sort of is a divination, but it's not an interpretation. Sometimes an oracle can just be a mystery, a riddle. Whoops. Yeah, that one wants to go on top. There we go. So then what we do what we say is that the rider shares passionately, but, so we add a but, a caution, a warning and advice. So this is the oracle, this is the answer, and this is the caution, the warning, the definitely do this, but stay away from this, to give you a sort of steering pattern. Because it's good to have the 2 sides of it, not just the positive side, but also a warning from the oracle as well. It gives it more nuance. So you can say the rider shares passionately, but the sun, notice we've got character, the young child on the horse again, but the sun waits patiently. You can see how easy it is to read it in this way. So the rider shares passionately, but the light, I'm going to change that to the light rather than the sun, because we had the rider for the chariot, so we're going to go for the same position in the card, but the light waits patiently. So we can already make sense of that, can't we, K Melody, that is the attitude that you need to change, that you need to adopt. Okay, so the sun, the rider, and the rider is not just you, but it is also your mind. This is very much a card of the spiritual mind, the thing that raises us, the thing that excites us, the thing that takes us above ourselves, the thing that challenges us. This is all the chariot. He is the prince who rides out and has the connection, the divine connection, and so forth. He's under the starry, the celestial canopy. So we have your mind, your passion, your hobbies, your interests, your concerns, your values shares equally and passionately, but the light must wait, be bound patiently, steadily. Okay? Does that make sense? So that is your oracle. The rider shares passionately, but the light waits patiently. You can see how fun this is to do at parties as well, to give everyone their own unique, easy, quick oracle. And again, I like this method and I use it a lot because it's not just a practical method, but it's also, it trains and instills, and in NLP terms, we call it installs, a way of looking at the cards in it. So, yeah, I can explain this a little bit more. I'm not going to go into too much detail with the oracle because it's actually more important that you take the pattern of this as a sigil. So we're going to talk about creating a sigil. Okay, this is a magical diagram, and it is the best way of manifesting in its the way most people seem to use that term, magically holding true to Western occultism, Western esotericism, and occult law and practice. Okay, and it's a dead easy way of doing it as well. It's a bit of chaos magic, it's a bit of tarot, it's a bit of Golden Dawn, talisman creation, all of these things, okay? And it's all packed underneath this simple thing that I'm going to ask you to do, K-Melody. So you don't need to study all of those things. Just be open to it, be open to the experience. So we have some homework for you because we know that the rider, which is you, are going to have to share your passions, okay? Okay, so the accent. Okay then. So I'll keep it as simple as I can. The rider shares passions, so you are to share what you are passionate about. But know that your natural nature, your child, your inner child, your light, your enthusiasm to expand is going to have to wait patiently. It's not time for you to really develop and grow at the moment. It's far more important that you share what you're passionate about just within your own passion without reaching out deliberately to do other things, to demonstrate yourself more widely, to get out and about and so forth. But you have to consciously say, I'm going to keep that to myself. It's not time for me yet. I've got to be patient. It's not time for the field to grow yet. I'm going to have to, in effect, lie fallow, wait until another time to fully shine, okay? And that's all within these 6 cards. Make sense? But it's very important to do something active, take some action in the real world, okay? With all magic, it is useless, pointless, makes it 1,000 times more difficult or impossible if you don't give it something to ground through. If you do a job ritual to get a good job, then you have to go and apply for jobs as well, or go and read things about getting jobs, or go to the library and study books on going to interviews and so forth. And quite often, if you've done a spell to get a job, is when you go for that book, you meet someone who is also looking for that book, and they own a business and they offer you a job there in the library. That is the way that magic actually works in practice. You have to do things that allow it to come down or arise out of the deep patterns. You have to do things in order for that energy to actually complete the circuit, like with the electrical circuit. It's the way the universe works, it really is, and that's how tarot works as well. Excellent. So, in order to do a sigil, a magical spell for you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a shape for you. Just give me one moment. I'm going to grab a pen. And a bit of paper. Okay, we have a pen and a bit of paper, and we are going to create a sigil for you that you can copy. Okay, so what I want you to do is when you have a bit of a moment of time, or if you can do this now, you're going to copy what I draw here. It's going to be fairly simple to copy. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a symbol from the chariot and the sun, the chariot and the sun. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 moons from his shoulders. Okay, the 2 crescents. You can make them into crescents if you want. Okay, so this one looks more like a banana, but it is a lunar crescent, I assure you. I'm sure yours will be a lot better than this one, but as long as you have the shape. And then we're going to take the circle from the sun. Then I'm actually just going to draw some radiant lines out of that. Mine now looks more like a spider than anything else. Okay, so I want you to draw that, and then you're going to take it Okay, so we've now made a sigil out of this. I want you to take as much care as possible. Now, can you hold it? And can you tell me that you're holding it? This is going to be an exciting thing to do. So if you can tell me in the live that you're holding it, because we put some energy into this now. And this is a map, a model of our divination, of how the tarot cards have told us we must act oracularly. Okay, I can give you a minute, that's fine. And this is slightly a method from Chaos Magic, but I'm slightly using the Golden Dawn way. For those who study the Golden Dawn, there's a ritual in the Golden Dawn to create a talisman, and it works on the 4 worlds. And whenever I've utilised that, realise that it does have a parallel in tarot, so that you can, in effect, present that whole ritual using a tarot reading instead through correspondence, and then use a bit of chaos magic to actually activate it. Brilliant. Now, what I want you to do, and I don't want you to hesitate at all, I want you to see the importance of this as holding the rider shares passionately, but the light waits patiently. I want you to say that out loud. The rider shares passionately, but the light waits patiently. And then destroy it. Like that. Do it quick, do it immediate. Just do it. Okay, and then we're not going to talk about it. Because that's the way magic works. Okay, you can perhaps come and comment on anything that changes in your life in the near future, but you are not to think about it, talk about it, or do anything else other than what we've just done. Okay, those are my conditions for teaching you the method. Notice any dreams, notice any strange coincidences, any synchronicities, be fully aware of those things that just seem odd. But other than that, you can make some activities to share your passions. And that's all we need to do, okay? And this is the way that Western esotericism uses things like sacrifice, it uses sacrament, it uses all sorts of methods to release that energy, release that necessity, and just forget about it, okay? But to act on it, and this is the trick, is to both act on it, get out of your own way, and let the universe do its business. More akin to what we have just resonated. We have just dropped a stone back into the pond by doing the reading and reflecting it and destroying its necessity, destroying its value, okay? So, okay then, I'm going to do another, who else would like an oracular sentence, just so we can practice our oracular sentences to close off. It will help you in the way that it best will help you. You see, most people make the mistake that they think that the universe has a grand plan and we have to do things. We have to manifest, we have to activate, we have to cast spells or get on with life and so forth. But actually, the universe has no plan. We have the plan. The universe is very good at doing things, but we aren't. We are not doing the entire universe. The universe is doing us. And when you understand that, I think, when you try and live like that, you get out of your own way. As Birds is saying, you get out of your own head. As Tony is saying, you just forget about it, because now you can just allow the universe to do what it's good at, which is doing things. So the universe will help you in the best way possible when you are not getting in its way by stopping it and asking it where it's going or where you want it to go. It's a bit like telling the bus driver, where are we now? I want to go here, I want to go there. The bus driver knows where to drop you off, okay? Yep, either focus on one thing or do many, either of those two extremes, whatever is best for you, okay? But in this case, the only way to activate this is to do things that you're passionate about and to share them, okay? And then leave the universe to do the rest. It's very good at it. Yep, don't overthink it, K-Melody. Just have faith in the process and report back in a week, okay? Okay, so did somebody want, other than K-Melody, a quick oracular sentence that we can look at? And I'll do all 6 of them. If you're prepared to have an oracular sentence. Say it's really good fun at parties because you can make a whole load of, that's good, K-Melody. I'm sure you've got a lot of things to think about in your life other than this. Okay, so I'll just do a general oracular sentence so we can have a look at how quick the method actually is. Okay, Shannon. Right. Shannon, we'll go for you. So, Shannon, the mother empowers dreamily but her strength bears witness powerfully. That is your oracle, Shannon. Make sense? And if it doesn't, that's fine, because it's an oracle for you. I can't remember what I said for that one. So the mother empowers dreamily, but her strength witnesses powerfully. That is your oracle, Shannon. Cool. And you can have a look at the cards in future, make more sense of the oracle if you wish, or you can just let the oracle sit with you. You can see how easy it is and how it gets you out of having to teach people at a party or do long, complicated spreads for them and things like that, and then answer a load of extra questions because you framed it as a mysterious oracle. So people tend to take it far less seriously, even though quite often the oracle, the tarot doesn't know that you're playing, that you're delivering it in any other than a serious manner. So that is the beauty of tarot. There's no such thing as an accidental oracle. That comes from real experience. That's one of the 22 Tarosophy tarot principles. There is no such thing as an accidental oracle. Everything is oracular. It doesn't know that it's not connected to everything, or that you're trying to say that it isn't. Hello, Ja. Hello, J.A. Would you like an oracular sentence? I'm casting oracular sentences. I usually read for myself. I have done for about 45 years, of course. So, but on occasion, there are some people that I do go and ask for a reading on occasion. I asked my friend Lynn for astrology analysis when I need it, or an interpretation of the Sabian symbols. And sometimes I had a palm reading with someone in New Orleans, and I have had readings. I had a reading from a vampire in Brazil. That was an interesting experience. So if there's a somewhat unique circumstance that I feel that my angel is guiding me towards, then I will have a reading, but I tend to just read for myself. And I always use Tarot Flip nowadays to force myself to read it in a particular way. Oh, from Brazil. Okay, excellent. Right, okay, Jan, now this is not I'm not demonstrating everyday readings today. I've done that in previous sessions, if you want to go and have a look at any of the previous videos. But I'm doing oracular sentences. So this is for Ja, and the cards are saying, the world I'm just trying to think of a good way of wording this. It might be 2 words, but I'm trying to force it into 1 word to hold to my own rules of oracular sentences. The the word I'm after is manipulates. Yeah, it was a standard tarot deck. I can't remember. It was a Waite-Smith version. It wasn't the Waite-Smith deck itself, but yeah. I missed out on an opportunity to go to a vampire nightclub, which is one of my greatest regrets in life, that when I was offered the invitation, I didn't actually go. And I think that would have been a cool thing to have attended. And they had a great community, and he taught me some very big lessons. And there is something in the Magister where I actually quote him in one of the epitaphs for the one of the chapter headings of the Magister. Yeah, he was a lot wiser than I would expect, I guess, or pre-expected. I don't know what assumptions I had with real-world vampires, but he was definitely a wise person. So the world. And I was going to say manipulates and controls. I'm going to slightly reword it. Okay, so the world is independent when it travels. No, the world rewards you when you travel. So this is dictates. That's interesting, Jan. Dictates. The world dictates your journey. The world dictates your journey. Now I'm going to change it again. So, not but, so, because we can use different linking words. That's the advanced version of this. This is the beginner version. The intermediate version is to use this. And the advanced version is to change the word that's in between them. Oh, you are relocating. Okay, so the world dictates your travel, so your garden differs sharply. The world dictates your travel, so your garden. What did I say for that? Your garden changes. Your garden changes sharply. And that's both literal and symbolic, of course. Make sense? It was a nice one. And sometimes the cards are really literal in this particular method, far more than Lenormand cards, because you're forcing the language of them a little bit. So your garden differs or changes, transforms even to some extent, sharply. You have a new perspective in a lot of ways, looking back at the change. Nice one. Excellent. Thank you. Oops, what am I doing here? Putting that there. Putting that there. Just like that. Okay, so you can see how this works. In a party, we can just do readings for people very quickly. So I'm just going to do one more general one. So we've got the idea of this. Okay, so this is for Javitha. And again, these are oracular sentences, so they may not appear to make sense, but just sit with them. I can't do another reading because I'm going to close off in a few minutes, but do join us again next week. I'm always interested in doing demonstration readings for people. So, Javitha. Death gives direction and hope triumphs. Intelligently. Death gives direction, but hope triumphs intelligently is your oracle. And again, Juvitha, this is a big thing, a big message in life. Okay? And it's a message, quite often the oracle will do that. Do a quick one for myself. Is that what you mean, Tony? Got a couple of minutes. I think I'd prefer to do one for Sandhya. Sandhya Pandey, 2009. Yeah, I'll do one for Sandhya while we have a couple of minutes left. Hopefully we can get the same cards again. Okay, and again, this is just a good demonstration, I hope, by doing live readings of the Oracular Sentences method. It's in Tarosophy, my first book, Tarosophy. And I have an advanced method as well, a variation method in Tarosophy Squared, the second book as well. Okay, so this is for Sandhya. Okay, right, I'm going to shuffle this again. Get the sense that I wasn't fully throwing myself into the shuffling given the time, but I mustn't let the time force my hand really, unless we get it again. There we go. I knew we'd get it again. Just knew it. So death stands forever. So, be strong, without support, independently. So have your own thoughts. So strongly stick to your own thoughts. Okay, so Sandhya, the more important is, even if change is, you have to fight against change almost constantly, it appears, be strong and stick to your own thinking. Keep it simple. Make sure no one distracts you from your own idea, your own thoughts, because that is the important thing, to think independently. Make sense? So death, in this case transformation, death has to fight forever against change, transformation, inevitability. You have to stand and fight for a long time. But you can see now, as we come to interpret it, we start to move more into a standard way of interpreting the cards, overthinking them, adding more words, changing the language. That's why I prefer just to keep this as oracular sentences. But you can see already how it then helps you when you're doing a bigger reading with another spread, laying out the cards differently. You've got a different combination of these cards. That this method, if you practice it and use it, instills this sort of way of reading in the back of your head automatically. And it does make you, I think, a better reader. That's why I like to teach it, because it's a nice practical thing. Every time you do it, you're practicing and you're installing something in terms of the structure of the tarot. Okay, everyone, we're at time. It's just a couple of minutes past 10 here in the evening in the Lake District of England. Thank you so much for being with me. We do have I'm obliged to say, a membership section of the channel. And Jai, if you would like to learn with us, I'm sharing private videos in our membership option for the channel. and we're going to be doing some exercises over time and really working on approaching these sorts of things. So thanks a lot, everyone, and thanks Bill, thanks Shannon, thanks Tony, and thank you everyone. If you're watching this as a recording, I'll probably slightly edit out the first bit and I'll reinvestigate how the hell I change video sources with all the various plugins and various other settings that I had to set up today for the first live stream of actually writing as well. I'm sharing some live stream of the actual physical writing process of actually what it's like to sit in front of a computer and have to write things all day as a living. So if you want to join me for any of that, I'll be happy to have your company as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Yep, it's gone by really quickly, hasn't it? So, yeah. So, right. Okay. As ever, the worker is hidden in the workshop. Bye for now.